We're on our way down to Swindon and we're going to be installing 23 panels with a Givenergy all-in-one battery. We've got 4 of the Heatable team here with us today and they're all absolutely buzzing to have been up since 5 in the morning. It took 3.5 hours to get here. We're still 46 minutes away. Kirk's about to stop for his 3rd toilet break. And we're going to be installing, say, 23 panels, but we're also going to be doing a Givenergy all-in-one. This is one of the new 13.5 kilowatt hour off-grid batteries. Super interesting. We'll catch up more when we get to site. So this is our battery. This is the Givenergy all-in-one 13.5 kilowatt hour. Now it weighs about 150 kilo. So on the training we did for Givenergy, they've told us to cut this out of the box, haven't they? Take it apart and then move it. If you try and move that, basically you've got no chance of getting it and moving it around. So that battery is going to go down here. So if we come, everyone's trying to get out of the way of filming now. They're hiding. So scaffolding's up. So this is for the actual array. I think this is 23 panels on this job. Now, client's already got an air source heat pump. Now, the reason we've gone for the Givenergy all-in-one is 3 things. First of all, because it's probably the best battery on the market. Second of all, it's got a 6 kilowatt continuous transfer rate. And obviously this is a big air source heat pump, it's going to have a big draw of electricity. If we put a small battery in with a small transfer rate, it's not going to meet the demand of the heat pump. The third reason is the capacity. So it's 13.5 kilowatt hour usable, so 100% depth of discharge on that. There is another reason, which is we are in a lovely rural area. Now, if you are in a rural area or certain parts of the UK, the grid isn't the best. And the DNO, so the district network operator for this job, limited the export that we could have to the grid. So basically the grid can't take a lot of power going back to it. The Givenergy all-in-one is something called G100 compliant, which means it can be set to no export. And obviously because the grid's not great, if the power drops with the Givenergy all-in-one, you get instant switch over and full home backup. And it also has something, so there's lots of things, not just 3 on this, something called phase stimulation. So normally if you have PV and the grid drops, your PV will shut down because it needs to see the grid, it needs to see the earth. What this Givenergy all-in-one will do is it will simulate the grid. So the PV will stay on. So if the power drops in the day and the PV could produce power, the battery will run the home, the PV will be running, and when the grid comes back on, it'll automatically switch over. So we're going to get it out of the van now. First one we've ever done, well, certainly where I've been present on site. Get it sited here. We're going to have to put some flags down, I think, or some sort of base to sit it on because this is a shingle driveway. And this battery, because it's so heavy, does sit on the ground. And we've got the gateway too. This is the off-grid piece. I'll take you through the wiring that in a second. So another quick one. This is the incoming supply to the property. Now, interestingly, we've got the tails for this come up. So the incoming supply comes in here. It goes into these are called Henley blocks. Henley blocks are sort of like junction boxes for big supplies. The consumer unit in this property is inside and these tails go to that. What we need to do today is install the Givenergy gateway and we need to get our home fuse board meter tails into that gateway. And then when the power drops, we'll actually back up the whole home supply. So we won't just be doing some dedicated circuits. We're going to back up the entire fuse board using those tails, but we'll go through wiring that in a minute. Health and safety. So to open this battery, you need to take all these little tangs off all the way around the battery, and it takes about 40 minutes or an hour. When we were on the Givenergy training, they actually told us to use a 20mm blade and cut around all the inside of this metal frame. It's basically the quickest way to open the box. The trainer reckons it's quicker to install the battery than it is to open the box, but we'll time that today and find out.
Yes, sweet. Yeah, there is a grand wheel.
Look at that for a spirit level.
Just in case we don't know our left and rights these days.
There we go.
I mean, look at that. Big white battery.
So this is Givenergy all in one. There she blows. It's there. Oh no, it's the gland. There we go. Right, it's just screwed on. Oh, gotcha! Yeah, it's alright. It's alright, yeah. Okay, so where we are now, we're just digging out the all-in-one has 4 adjustable feet on it, and obviously this is a shingle floor. So we've been to a builder's merchant, we've bought some slabs. We're just sinking them into the, trying to find the hardcore underneath now. We've done that. We're going to set these and level them off now, and then when this battery's sat over them, hopefully the shingle will slide over the top and you'll never know they're there, but it'll have a nice sub base. Obviously when this battery's full, it's got these 4 batteries in it, and it's going to weigh about 250, 160 kg. Got mud and dust all over me. So next thing now is going to be level these off, get the inverter on there, get the uni-strut on the wall, and we'll start to set it out. Going to take a look at some of the other stuff on this job. So when you get an install from Heatable, 99% of our jobs go out with these. These are micro-inverters. So these are actually IQ7 pluses. These sit on the rail behind the panel, and essentially what we do is we convert the power from the roof from DC to AC locally. So we don't have string inverters, we're not bringing high power DC down the side of the property, high voltage. We're doing it all locally on the roof. So they sit in there. Now to connect them, you use these are Q cables. So Q cable, essentially it's 2.5mm stranded cable. It's an AC lead, and on this inverter, he says, on one side of it, you've got the Q cable. This is the AC connection. And on this side, you've got the DC connection. So your positive and your negative from your panel go into this side. AC comes out. That's a single piece of it, but if you look at it, it all comes stranded in length, so it's all pre-done. You don't have to make it off on the roof. 23 panel system. This is all of the micro-inverters. Am I getting covered in dust there?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Finally, on this job, slate roof. So we're using a slate kit to install the mounting system on the roof. So all roof types in the UK are different. Let's take a quick look around here now. You've got all different types of roof tiles. You've got plain tiles over there. You've got Marleys. You've got all sorts of different roofs. So you need a different mounting system for every different tile. So we pick that when we specify your job. That'll come with the actual the correct mounting system for it. And finally, we've got our panels. So sweeping back of this vein. So in here, these are the REA Fusion 2 panels. This is the premium panel. Now this actually is a bifacial panel, so that's the back of the panel. So the back has also got solar cell receptors, and these are an N-type top con. So these are optimized for low light conditions in the UK, just like today. So when the battery's on its feet, to stop it from toppling over, you have these brackets. These are sided left and right, and essentially the battery clicks onto these, and then there's a locking screw there to hold it on. Hang on a minute, actually that one, because the screw's on that side. So you lock it, and that just prevents the battery from tipping forward. Obviously it's a heavy battery. All the weight's taken by the feet. They aren't taking the weight of the battery. They're just stopping it from toppling over. So right now we're building this uni-strut tower, essentially frame, to take the brackets. We've just realised we've had to cut those slabs there because the battery's sitting a little bit low and it might touch these air source heat pump pipe work. So we've cut a slab in half. It's going to spread the load further and just send our battery a little bit higher. Okay, so we're on the scaffolding, not on the roof. Technically on the roof if we do that. Now, the guys have got all the rail on, and also you can see up here, Jack, these are all the micro-inverters. Now, as you can see, this is a slate roof. It's a proper slate roof, isn't it?
Yeah, natural slate.
Natural slate roof. So we've used a different mounting system like we mentioned before. So these plates, these sit on the roof. There's a rubber pad under there, and these actually screw on top of the tile, so you're not sort of compromising the weather tightness of the roof, which is obviously good for long-term durability of the roofing system. And this is the layout. So I don't know if you can see there, all these micro-inverters are numbered. So when we commission the system later on, what we'll do is we'll assign each microinverter to the array. What this does is give the client a full breakdown of which panel's performing. If they had got an issue with a panel, they can see the individual output of each panel. So on a string system, these would all be linked, and if one dropped, then the whole array would drop. So these are cool. Obviously they're a bit more money, but you get extra performance as well. So they turn on earlier and they shut down later because they only need 22 volts, I think it is, to activate. A normal string system needs a minimum input of about 200 volts. So you need quite a lot of sun before you get your system turning on. With this system, 22 volts, and you've got activation. Okay, so the next thing will be to get the panels on the roof, get them secured, and they're going to plug straight into each one of those micro-inverters. To get the panels on the roof, we use one of these. It's called a gym wheel. And essentially, it's just an aid to get the panels up onto the scaffolding rather than carrying them up a ladder, because they're quite heavy, they're bifacial, so they weigh a bit more than a standard panel, and obviously a little bit difficult to manage, so we use one of those to get them up here. And we're going to get a shot once it's all done. This system's having bird proofing as well. So if you have PV fitted, especially around here, we've got lots of trees, you're going to get pigeons, you're going to get sparrows, all sorts of birds looking to nest under your solar panels. So on this system, we've got a spike that sits around the perimeter of the array, and that just stops any pests getting in and nesting under that system, but we'll get a shot of that later on. So this is the all-in-one that we showed you earlier on. We've now got it on the ground. We had to put it on these extra 2 pads here because it was just a little bit low. But that's all done, that's all settled, and the weight of the system is all on there now, so all the cells are in. This is the gateway. So the way this works is you've got 2 sets of tails coming in. So your tails from your incoming supply that would normally go to your fuse board now go to the gateway. And then you run tails back out and link to the tails that would go to your fuse board. So basically this is intercepting the supply from the grid to the main fuse board. Now what this does is a contactor in here. If the grid drops, this automatically, you wouldn't even notice it in home, will switch over to a backup supply, and depending on the capacity left in your battery, that's what will power your home. This does it all under this one unit here. So it's a really neat solution. Obviously, we've got some Copex to go around these to sort of tidy it up and make it look nicer. What you do need, if you install one of these, there is no off-grid option. You can't have it, sorry, without the off-grid option. And to have the off-grid option, you need to put an earth in. So down here, the guys have put an earth spike in, and they're going to run the earth to it. So if the grid dropped power, not only do you lose the power from the grid, but you lose the earth. So all your appliances in your home, if they didn't have an earth spike in the ground, then you'd have no earth to the property while you're off grid. So obviously you can't do that. So we're going to put one in. So to give you some background to why this system is a 23 panel system with a 13.5 kilowatt hour battery with a 6 kilowatt hour transfer rate. And it's because the energy demands in this property are really high. It's using about 10,000 kilowatt hours a year. The average home in the UK uses about 3,500. And the culprit is this air source heat pump. So it's a 14 kilowatt air source heat pump, but obviously uses an awful lot of electricity. So we've designed a system to effectively knock as much as that energy demand out using these panels and this battery, so the client can have free energy, but this also can have free heating in their property. And it's just something to be aware. If you get an air source heat pump, they are 400% efficient, 300% efficient, depending on the time of the year. but electricity is 3 to 4 times the cost of gas. So if you're thinking about doing it from a saving perspective, you definitely want to consider having solar to complement this eco-friendly heating system. We were just checking the orientation for this array, and the way it's been designed and the way it's weighted has worked out really, really well, especially given the layout of the roof. So the majority of the panels, the 17 panels, are on the south-facing elevation, and then the remaining 6 are on this east elevation here. So you're going to get the sun rising in the morning, and that's going to give the client coverage, and the sun's going to come round, it's going to set some way over here. Because of the pitch of our roof and the lack of obstruction, we should get production pretty much throughout all of the sunlight. In an ideal world, you'd have some panels on the west side as well, and you get the very end of the day. But given that this array on the south face elevation is pretty wide, and we've got these REA Fusion 2 panels with the micro-inverters, we're pretty confident we're going to get production for all of the sunlight hours at this property. I would if you give me a big statue head.
Statue head.
So day 2, we're going to meet the guys on site now. We're hoping, well, it sort of has to be today. It gets finished. We're going to get all the panels on. We'll take a quick look at the panel when we get there and just show you why it's a bit different to a standard solar panel, and then we'll go through the commissioning process. We've been told by Givenergy that some of the early all-in-one batteries need a software update. I think it's to version 7. So we're going to try and get the power onto the battery pretty early doors to get that process done, because it can take a couple of hours to get the software updated, and we don't want to be doing that at the end of the day. But we'll be at site in 10 minutes time, and then we'll take a look around and go from there. So just wanted to quickly show you these REA panels we were talking about yesterday. So this is one of our panels here. Ow. That was very graceful rather. So what's sort of interesting about this panel is when it's not against another surface, it looks like it's got a white intersection, but it's actually got a clear intersection there. So this panel is a double glazed panel, and you've got these N-type TopCon cells on this side, and there's 16 transfer wires, which means you get a better flow of energy. But also on the back of the panel, I'll just turn it around. You've also got receptors on the back, so the same receptors that are on the front are on the back. The only difference is on the back, they're slightly blue, and the reason for that is a black solar panel is slightly less efficient than a blue colour solar panel. Now, for aesthetics, customers generally prefer a black panel, so on the front the panel's black, on the back we make it blue, and that's to maximise the amount of energy that we can harvest. And as you can see, sunlight would come through here, and you get a little bit of bounce back off the panel. This panel has been optimised to work with a micro-inverter, so if you put this with a traditional string system, you wouldn't actually get the same level of efficiency. It's been purposely designed to work with the Enphase Micro-inverter series. So just for a quick look at the panel, it's interesting. We're going to get them on the roof now. They've all been brought out of the van. There's 23 of them to get up, 6 on the back, 17 on the front. So in about an hour's time, we should have all those on, and then we'll take a look at them from there.
Ooh, today we're doing a slate roof, and we're using the limpets for the railing system. Saves a lot of time, and I think it looks a lot tidier as well. And we're using the micro-inverters for each individual panel. Clever little things, act as optimizers. So stops the string cutting out when shade hits each individual panel. Yeah. So I think it costs a bit more, but it's worth more.
Have you worked on these systems before?
Yeah, a few times now.
Yeah.
But no, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's easy to do, and it looks tidy.
So the panels will just plug into the micro-inverters themselves, and then they just work individually instead of working in a string together, because if you put them all together, if one shuts down, it will just knock the rest of the string out, and you want to be able to have them working as efficient as possible. Better system, probably the best system you can get for efficiency wise anyway. Helps in the winter a lot more. So we'll put these two on, use that as a walkway, work from the top left put that one on and then throw the rest on the top and then put that bottom one on last, so we've got a walkway. Yeah, and just plug in as we go along.
So panels are going on the roof now, all the inverters are on. What the guys have done is build this is an array map. So the benefit of this system is all the individual microinverters and panels work independently, no two panels are tied, but we need to build this for the client as part of the commissioning. So all the inverters have a number and these are all the serial numbers. This is our East array here. What I've started to do is commission it on this app. So you simply go through and you start to build all of your serial numbers, and then we're going to assign them and create an array. Now when you do this, it's really good because what it'll do is it'll never scan the same serial number twice, so you can't really get this wrong. So that's all 23 microinverters in now, and now it's asking me to build the array, which we're going to do on the system. Now, the next thing to do, once the panels go on, we're going to get the system energized, and then we do something called provisioning the devices, and this is where the devices look for the grid. We set the grid settings, the grid reference, and we'll start producing power. And at the end of this process, we can share this with the client, and they're going to get full access to their free monitoring with their system. So it's the end of the day, we've got the system on. The Enphase system has just decided it wants to do an update while the system's, well, it's dark outside, which is brilliant. We tried to do it earlier on today and it's not done it, so we're just doing that right now, but our gateway's live. Just to show you inside the gateway, you've got your grid supply, you've got something called a bypass, so if this gateway ever failed, the bypass can be activated and it basically loops the grid to the load in the house and just bypasses this whole system. You've got your load. If you have an EV charger, you can put an EV charger on this. We've got our gateway powered off it at the moment with a double pole isolator, MCB rather. PV inverter, so that's our PV strings off our Enphase system going into this, and then our all-in-one, which is this here. So this is the all-in-one battery, which we showed you earlier on. We've got some isolators. The guys are just doing some stickering now. Once this has completed its update, then we'll be able to get the system live, and then we'll share that with the client, and it's all done. So another successful install. It's been quite a long one this. The Envoy, the Enphase system, decided to do an update literally as the light was fading, which has stole about an hour off the end of the day. Obviously it's going a little bit dark now, but all set up and running, everything's working in the property. Now, if you're interested in getting a quote for a system, whether it's going to be a standalone all-in-one battery that you want to charge off the grid, or you want a full PV system using our REA panels, then head over to heatable.co.uk. We'll be able to get a fixed price online.